All right, guys, welcome into another round of the Durability Project. You got 9 minutes of some focused work on your chest, shoulders, back. So follow along here with this first position. I'm going to take a half kneeling stance next to the wall for a minute. I'm going to invert that palm, maybe turn the fingers back towards the wall behind me, but I am trying to spread my fingers out as far as I can. Spread those fingers out as far as you can, create a lot of space between the fingers, and keep your palm flat against the wall as you keep your shoulder down away from your ear. Some of you might feel this stretch more in your actual hand, in between your fingers. Some of you might feel it more in the forearm like I do, but it can also lead all the way up through that bicep into the shoulder and chest. So that's just telling you that this is one huge connection that can get incredibly tight if we spend a lot of time at a desk, doing a lot of stuff in front of us, maybe rounded posture, driving, whatever it is. This stretch you really can't do too much of, in my opinion, because few people really do it at all. So you're getting to the end of this minute just about. You can see that when I do these stretches, so we're going to flip it over to the other side, I switch my knees so that the knee closest to the wall is the knee that's down, and again, I get my palm nice and flat and spread those fingers out. Play around with which direction your fingers point. Typically, I want you to either point them to the wall behind you or down so that the soft side of your elbow is pointing up. So like I was saying, few people do this stretch at all. And for those that do it for the first time, it feels incredibly tight. The more you do it, the less it'll feel incredibly tight. The more you do it, you're really going to have a more flexible connection from your neck to your chest, shoulder, and all the way down to your fingertips. So while you're doing this stretch, do it however you want with what you're doing with your head. You can see I was actually turning my head to the side, flexing the ear over to the shoulder, so kind of bobbing my head to the side just to get more of a stretch through my neck and into my collarbone. But here we are, last 5 seconds on this side, and that does it for both arms. Next, what we're going to do is go to both knees, come down to a child's pose position, but we are actually going to have a bias or focus on one side or one of our lats. So you can see I'm going to walk my hands over to my right. When I go to the right, my left arm is going to stay straight. So the left arm is the one I'm actually focusing on. I want the left arm to really reach, okay? When I'm reaching, I'm actually gripping the ground. So I'm on some turf, you might be on some carpet, but I'm using my fingertips just to slightly grip the turf or the carpet and pull just a little bit to activate more of a stretch on that left side. And you might feel this again in your forearm, all the way down that shoulder through the lat area, connecting to the ribs and maybe down even to your lower back. So you can feel how big this connection is. And take some really deep breaths in this. We're finishing up the last 5 seconds here. And after these few seconds, now you can go ahead and walk those hands over to the other side. So now we're going to target the right. That right arm is going to be the arm that you are trying to get your hand as far away from your head as possible. Walk that hand out, play around with gripping the ground here, and really just marinating into this, letting that whole right side open up. So I'm going to let you chill out here for the next 30 seconds and just again go through some deep breathing, playing around with that grip, grabbing the floor, and just letting that right side open up. All right, this next position is a kneeling tabletop. So the same thing as before, both knees on the ground, But you're going to put those palms flat on the ground with the fingers facing behind you. And what we're going to do here is really try and squeeze the shoulder blades together throughout this minute to engage more of a chest stretch. And then you can see I'm actually driving my knees into the ground in order to get my hips up and activate a little more leverage. Just lean a little bit more on those hands to try and spread the chest out. You should really be feeling the chest and the front of the shoulders spread out big time here as you squeeze the backs of the shoulders and extend those hands into the ground here. 20 seconds, still taking long, slow, deep breaths throughout this stretch. And we're going to get back into a child's pose position. But the catch is we are going to fold our arms. So get into child's pose. Bend your hands, bend your arms so that your hands come behind your head. And my hands are actually just flat on top of one another. Or like I'm doing right now, you can kind of do prayer hands together and squeeze the hands together as you drive the elbows down into the floor. Driving the elbows down is the key here, or else you're just sitting in a stretch that might do a little bit of some stretching for your shoulders, but it won't do as much as if you activate the stretch. So activating through driving the elbows down into the mat to really help light up that big connection from your ribs to lats to the outside of the shoulders and tricep. Try and get your nose closer to the floor as you drive your elbows down here for these last 5 seconds before we get completely flat on our belly. So I'm a little crammed for space here, but I want you to get flat on the floor, face down, and then you're going to roll over to your right shoulder as you peel the left leg over to the right side. So I'm opening up that chest stretch, looking at the wall on my left, and that right arm is straight, the right hand is flat, but I'm actually using my left hand kind of like a kickstand. I'm using the left hand to push into the floor to help me rotate up to the ceiling. So I'm turning to my left to rotate up to the ceiling and get that nice chest stretch in the front of that right side connecting to the shoulder. And now we're going to flip this position over to the other side. So I'm going to roll that right leg over to my left as I peel my body off the ground, turning to the right. So as I turn to the right, I'm trying to look up at the ceiling, and you'll feel that stretch start on the left side. So your left arm is straight and the right hand is pressing into the floor to help get that stretch opening up the front of the left side with that chest to shoulder connection. All right, guys, this is the last 10 seconds here. Good job on another session with the Durability Project. And keep using these videos as much as possible.